All right. Just give me the signal as to when we're good to go. It's crazy that we actually have loyal listeners. Go ahead now. All right.
Shout out to Juan.
Shout out to Juan.
All right, so we're going now. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's hit it. All right, and we are live. Welcome to the Redbird Redzone podcast. My name is Will. You can find me on Twitter at LiveOnThatSwing. Joining me today, I've got 2 of my co-hosts plus a special guest. Why don't y'all introduce yourselves?
Yo. My name is Mac. You can find my poor tweets at AZSportFien. That's FIEN.
And I'm Jackie. You can find me on Twitter at JSanDiego. That is 2 O's.
And I'm Tom. You can find me at BritishBirdgang on Twitter. You might need some time today, but who knows?
That's right, folks. We got the British invasion episode of the Redbird Redzone podcast here. We've gone international. Let's hit it. But
you only had to pay him $100, $100 for an hour. But hey, it's fair price.
$100 in a Max Hall jersey. So it all works out in the end. But we are here to discuss the game that happened last week, and also the future of the Arizona Cardinals. Because give me like the sad trombones from The Price is Right here or whatever. We missed the playoffs, and it's we were 5-1 at one point this year, and since that bye week, ever since then, it was just all downhill from there. We lost a lot of winnable games. We lost games that we were too close, and it's just a goddamn tragedy. What do y'all? Give me a memorial service for this. Like, what do y'all think about this?
R.I.P. our hopes and dreams.
R.I.P. our hopes and dreams.
It was not what we all expected. If we went into the season saying we'd be 8-8, I think a lot of us kind of would have been okay with it. 4 of those wins came against the NFC worst, the East. The
NFC least.
Yeah, and I just don't think we ever really hit our max potential, especially after that Buffalo game. So it is a bit of disappointment, but year 3 of Cliff and Kyler is going to be the telltale sign of where this franchise is going, I believe. So
let's
big off season.
And BirdGang, do you have anything else to add?
Not really, because I went for a 9-7 season this year, so he's Nate just about right. They made it to the playoffs.
Yeah. So let's briefly discuss the game at hand here. So going into this game, Larry Fitzgerald was out, Christian Kirk was out, but none of that looked like it'd be an issue because the Rams' entire first teams were basically injured. Jared Goff was injured, the running back was injured, Cooper Kupp was injured. We came into this week thinking that this would be an easy go-around. And then the game happened. And it just all went downhill from there. So first things first, let's talk about the obvious thing here. Kyler Murray got injured early into the game. He was rushed back out on the field with that knee issue, and that's why I was uncomfortable with them playing it kind of fast and loose with the answers as to his knee health. But we had to bring in Chris Streveler. So here's the uncomfortable question. Why was he our backup, and do you think that Hundley would have done any better?
What do you think,
Would have kept us in the game.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, like you've said all along this season, haven't you, that Streveler was no backup for some reason ahead of Hundley. So it just happened to be this was a game we needed to use the backup in, and it was one which we rather wish we didn't have to use him in it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody could have expected going in that this would have been an issue, but the fact that we let somebody who clearly was not prepared for the NFL and somebody who, even going in, he was not a good CFL quarterback. The best comp I could give him for his time in the CFL is what we saw with Cam Newton this year. Yeah, they won a Grey Cup, but he was the backup, and he had a really middling passing performance.
It makes you wonder
I don't know why we got him off the street when there are better quarterbacks on the street that we could have taken.
Well, it makes you
could
wonder.
Say it's a system fit, but
okay.
You could say it's a system fit, but go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
It just makes you wonder. Why was Hundley on the practice squad basically all year, and then going into the last game of the year, you kind of want all hands on deck. And Streveler wasn't awful. He was 11 for 16, 105 yards. It was that touchdown as we were driving before halftime that really just put us in knots right there. It's, I think he thought he had a free play. So that pick six right there just turned the tables and the momentum, and it was a crusher. But someone with the experience of Brett Hundley with 18 games under his belt would have liked to thought he'd be at least active. But like Birdgang said, that's how it was all year. And it's just a shame that the last game of the year, that's how it played out.
Yeah. Jackie, British, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I just don't get why we didn't activate Hundley, at least at in, let's say the event Streveler did get hurt. That was a very poor move on Cliff's part. I wasn't sold on Streveler, to be honest, at all this season, even though we didn't get to see much, and that just kind of proved why.
I got the sense that he was not a good fit in our system because it felt like, the argument that I think anybody can make with a guy with a similar skill set coming into the game, being the backup like that, is that, he's got the similar skill set. They're just trying to, give it to the guy who knows the game plan. But it's just like he was just really mediocre. And I'd
rather give it to the guy with the experience than the game plan. Even if he does have a similar skill set to Kyler Murray, I would like the guy that backed up Aaron Rodgers than some guy you picked up off the CFL.
Yeah, it's just a real head scratcher. Do you guys have a problem with Kyler waiting until the fourth quarter to come back? Because instead of halftime, I was expecting halftime personally, but.
I understand why he did that. I understand because as somebody who's injured my leg twice this year, I'm scared to even walk up the fucking stairs these days.
you wait until the last moment.
So getting hit by Aaron Donald, I can understand why you'd be terrified of being pancake sacked by a 250-pound lineman.
Yeah, because let's say you do come in, you finish the game, but are you going to be good to go for your first playoff game?
Yeah. So I understand 100% why he was, a little hesitant to go in. He looked, I will say though, he looked really good in the final minutes he was in. I think if he was in the whole game, we probably would have won.
Yeah, just sucks that we threw him in for some garbage time reps, essentially.
So let's talk about the play that probably should have gotten Cliff fired. That 3rd and 18 read option. What the fuck was that? That is pure negligence. What do y'all think?
I get it. You thought he was going to pull some people. That was stupid.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, if Kyler's coming in, you want to keep the open playbook. But even at that point, it's not like it's 3rd and 3, where an option play could be, better chance to be successful. But 3rd and 18 to run that was, and then he pitches it with his left arm. Like, it wasn't really well thought out, I thought. And even the play before that, it was like a Hail Mary almost, like 2nd and 18. It was a deep bomb into like 3 or 4 defenders. And we talked about with the Rams were hurt. Yeah, their offense was hurt, but their defense was not. Their defense is fairly healthy. And that they came in and they played a good game against us. And I think Sean McVay just has Cliff's number for some reason. So I don't know if Cliff was trying to overthink it or what, but that was definitely a very, very head scratching play on 3rd and 18.
Yeah. Shit. So we had yet another safety inside our own end zone this week. I think that's the 3rd we had this year. Is that right? Like the 2nd or 3rd? It's
at least 2nd, yeah.
Yeah.
His first one was a holding on Sweezy, and then this was a holding on Pugh?
Pugh.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw Jackie wanted to throw hands.
In a Chili's parking lot, yes.
I mean, it's just an utter lack of discipline from an O-line that should know better. I mean, half of the dudes on that most of the dudes on that O-line, they aren't, these new kids who just got out of college and we're just starting them because we're utterly depleted. No, these are guys who are, trained professionals. They should know better. And they screwed us over all season long. And I know that's really like hostile and shit, but it's just.
Oh, you're right.
No way.
Screwed us over all season long.
Yeah, I'm kind of fed up with that,
Yep, most important game of the season. Play us on the line. Let's get a fucking holding in the end zone. Good job.
It started early too, because that first drive we got the ball, we got a first down, I believe, right away on a couple runs, and then Mason Cole gets beat on 2nd down, gives up a 3-yard tackle with a run up the middle, and then on 3rd down he just gets beat completely and gives up a sack. So that's what we talked about. Mason Cole, should there be an upgrade? Lamont Gaillard instead, but that's not the case.
Absolutely. That's
absolutely.
They kept him inactive.
There's no question about it.
So that was a head scratcher right there as well.
I'd happily never see any of them in Cardinals red ever again. In Pugh and Sweezy, at least.
Oh my gosh! Yes,
oh, absolutely. Pugh, Sweezy, Cole, they can all go.
And unfortunately, we've picked the worst offseason to have, a vast rebuild. Because, we've got $24 million in the cap. And, I've heard people say, if you restructure some contracts, do this and that, it's probably not so bad. But, at the end of the day, we need to focus on running backs. We need to focus on D-line, O-line. There's not a position where we can't say we need help, except for maybe quarterback.
I like our tackles. I think our tackles carried us. Beecham and DJ Humphreys, they both graded out very well and only gave up maybe a couple sacks each this year. But the interior offensive line definitely is something that, I've bashed Kenyon Drake a lot. And, of course, he didn't hit his 1,000 yards this year, even though he had almost 250 carries. But that is due to being up front. The guys up front, there's no holes really for that in the A and B gaps, so that it's not all on him. But there's definitely little upgrades that need to be had at guard and center for sure.
Yeah, it felt like we were watching a Micah and what's his name, Mike McCoy, Mike McCoy running scheme all year, because we kept handing the ball to him for like 2 or 3 yards, and it's like anytime I knew we were handing it off to him. I physically, I felt my soul leave my body because it's always a disaster. Yeah.
I'll give it to Cliff. He was steadfast and, trying to get the run game going all season, no matter what, and we did finish, let's see, we finished 7th in the league in total rushing yards. So that kind of proves a point right there, which, finished 17th. Cliff came here. I don't think any of us saw our running game being top 10 and our passing being, mediocre at best right now.
So let's talk about the running back position, the future of that, all that. So I think it was a Todd McShay or Kuiper had us picking running back in the first round this year. They had us picking Travis Etienne from Alabama. Do you guys think that's a good fit, or should we look to the free agency?
I mean, I'm a big fan of ETN, but, I think at 16 is way too early for him. But, at 49, I don't think he'd be there either. So, we'd have to trade down, I think, if we wanted him desperately.
Yeah, there's a couple running backs I wouldn't mind. ETN, he reminds me of Chase Edmonds a lot. He's in weight. They're both 205 or 209, and they're both ETN's 5'10", Chase Edmonds is 5'9". So I kind of would rather have a little bit bigger of a back, either Sermon or Najee Harris. But like you said, we're kind of in that finicky role at 16 where it's it is kind of too early to maybe get a running back, but if it's the best running back in the draft, no one can complain. So there's a trade back option. We trade back into the 20s maybe. And we do have kind of more dire needs than running back. I think cornerback is probably our number one need. What happens with Patrick Peterson, and then Drake Kirkpatrick's a free agent. So that's 2 of our 3 cornerbacks right there who are free agents. And Byron Murphy probably is better, in the slot role. So quarterback one, at least one outside. Even though I think Murphy can play on outside, we definitely need at least one outside cornerback. And that's probably where you go to the draft. They're going to be a good one there at 16.
Yeah, so
I agree.
I have two things to talk about regarding drafting a running back there. First off, I mean, you said it yourself. We'd basically be replacing, Kenyon Drake with another undersized back, and knowing this league and knowing how important it is to, use those first round picks. I mean, those undersized backs, they have 2 or 3 good years in the league max before they just go to hell. I mean, think about the running backs you've seen lately that have stuck around in the league. You've got, you got Adrian Peterson, you got Derrick Henry. I mean, those are the main 2 I can think of. Adrian Peterson,
Frank Gore, power back. Frank Gore, power back.
I mean, Adrian Peterson, he was fast, he was elusive, but he could also hit you like a ton of bricks if he wanted to. Fucking Derrick Henry Lynch ended fucking Josh Norman's life. He just flat out murdered that dude on the field. I mean, if we want
television,
absolutely. And it's I'm not a fan of the idea of picking up one of these undersized backs. I mean, yeah, of course he's doing good at Alabama. I mean, running backs just tend to do good there.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, he is an undersized back, and we've already got one of those on our team. I mean, he's better than that guy, but it's just I don't understand the thought process there, because there's no durability in the guy.
Nobody will complain if he turns into the next Alvin Kamara, though. So, I mean, if he's that legit, it doesn't matter where we get him. Even if it's 2 or 3 years, I'm not a big fan of paying running backs their second contract anyways. So, I mean, if you get someone, just run the shit out of for 4 or 5 years. Because if you're that first-round pick, you get that 5th year option. So that's one reason why to take him back. If you can try to trade back to the 20th, the best running back in the draft for 5 years. I mean, that's where our championship window is with Kyler going to be getting a big contract here, and probably 2 years, maybe even earlier, depends on how next year goes. So I don't hate it if he's the guy. You don't want to bring someone in here who does have the same exact skill set as Chase, because then we're going to need to sign a free agent, power back for short yardage possibly. But we'll have to do that anyway. So there are definitely a lot of needs, because we also need a wide receiver too in this offense, because nobody cut it. 37-year-old Larry Fitzgerald was second on our team in catches this year, and he missed 3 games. So we definitely need some explosiveness to enter the offense.
So one last little thing before I close out the running back segment. There's a key stat I saw on Twitter. I want you guys to guess how many running backs in the top 10 rushers this year were drafted in the first round. Just take a gander.
Top 10 running backs drafted in the first round. Well, I know there's 2 rookies, Jonathan Taylor and Jonathan Taylor. I'll go 2.
I'll say 5.
Bird Gang, you got an answer?
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I did say none, but now you've mentioned Taylor, so that's definitely 1. 3.
1. There was a single running back who was in the top 10 rushers this year who was a first-round pick. Technically, if you want to include everybody, there's 2, because you got Lamar Jackson on that list, but there's only 1 running back on that list. Everybody else is a second-round pick or a later-round pick or whatever. So the way I see it,
a lot of injuries to first round.
Oh yeah, for sure. But at the end of the day, I mean, those second round, third round backs, they're producing, they're doing, damage.
Yeah.
We saw Kamara tear it up this year. We saw fucking Aaron Jones tear it up this year. I mean, those guys were second, third round down backs. I mean, so that calls into question: is picking a running back in the first round even the right answer? Because, I mean, we've seen a lot lately. These fucking mid-round backs are the ones tearing it up, while those first-round backs are the first to leave the league.
Yeah. Jonathan Taylor, so just look it up, because I thought he might have been a second-round pick. So he is a second-round pick, Jonathan Taylor, at 41, and he finished this season 3rd in rushing. So, yeah, I mean, you could definitely get a running back. You don't have to snag one in the first round. I'm just in love with Najee Harris. But even then, some people think he might fall to the second round, so
if we can if we can get him there, I think we should do it. But I mean, if I am Steve Keim, I'm probably going to make a mistake. I'm probably going to make a mistake because I'm Steve Keim. But
you're going to get drunk.
I'm gonna get drunk and drive down the freeway. No, I would pick either J.C. Horn from South Carolina or Asante Samuel Jr. because despite being on really bad programs this year, they were producing like crazy. They looked insane. So, I'd pick up either one of those dudes as my 16th pick overall.
Need a cornerback.
We desperately need one of those, and I can't really think of anybody else that I'd really want to pick there. So,
because you're not gonna find a cornerback 1 on the free agent market. We can find a wide receiver 2 on the free agent market. That's for sure. There's a handful of those guys out there. But Stephon Gilmore's aren't just walking around on free agency. Jalen Rams. So yeah. I could definitely see our biggest need being cornerback. What do you think our biggest need is, Tom?
Where do we start with biggest needs? Because there's loads all over the field, isn't there? You said earlier, like quarterback's obviously the one that we don't need. Obviously, we need a backup quarterback, but you're not taking that at 16. I think it just comes down to whoever the best player is available at the position. Like after the other 15 teams have picked, whoever's top of our board, just take them and then fit them in somewhere, or just not play them like we've done with Simmons.
We got to get somebody in here who can help produce, in year 1. So that's definitely a lot of teams around the league have that, and hopefully we see more of Simmons, being every down 90% of the snaps player next year. But I would definitely love to see that first-round pick for us come in and also be a big part of our offense or defense.
Absolutely. So let's talk free agency a little bit here. I'm going to drop a link in the Discord. I'm looking at the available quarterbacks in the free agency. I want you guys to, look
as a
at that.
backup, obviously.
Yeah. I want you guys to look at that and tell me what speaks to you. I'm going to give you mine first. On the free agency, if I'm thinking about complimenting Kyler, getting somebody in there who can, plug and play into this offense and do what Kyler does best, I'm looking at either Tyrod Taylor from the Chargers. I think he's been screwed over by a lot of teams. I think that he's kind of just there to be the guy who comes in to get outshined by the other guy. Or I'm looking at Robert Griffin III, because I know he's not a sexy option, but he's still cheap enough and he fits enough into our scheme that I think we could justifiably fit him in there. If you guys are looking at that, what do you guys think? Do you think that those two are good answers, or do you have an alternative?
Yeah, or even I'm looking at Jacoby Brissett. I like him.
It's going to be interesting to see what Indianapolis does there. Philip Rivers' age and whatnot. Can Brissett be that guy next year, or is he going to go somewhere? That's a good one. And I mean, honestly, my answer might even just be Brett Hundley, because we've seen him. But if he's, fallen out of grace, then any of those names, I like Brissett. That's a good name if he's available. Or even Tyrod. If you need him in a pinch right there. Oh, that's another guy. He's a hometown guy too.
Who's that?
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
That wouldn't be too bad.
No,
we can get him have him start the first 4 games of the season, and when he falls out of that little, magic, we put Kyler back in. Yeah.
When he turns into a pumpkin, yeah.
Another name here. This is a riskier one. Cam Newton.
I knew it. He's not going to be a backup to nobody. I'll just tell you that. But I wouldn't go there.
You think he's going to get a starting job?
No, he's not going to get a starting job either. He's asking a lot by wanting to be a starter.
Yeah.
I wouldn't touch Cam with a barge pole.
The New England Patriots are paying him $1 million, only $1 million, to be on that roster. I say if we can get him for that and have him, understand that, he will be there if and when Kyler Murray goes down. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind having a bruiser of a quarterback, to run the football down the field. But as it stands, I think my answers still remain Tyrod Taylor and RG3 as backups.
Watch it be Strevler again.
Oh God.
Oh Jesus! Yeah, that's the Cardinals brand right there. We're rewarding mediocrity. Oh shit!
Yeah, you do want someone with a little bit more QB, NFL experience. Somebody who's won big games, in a pinch. Like that's definitely someone who you kind of want as the backup. So yeah, it'd be hard to kind of sell it for Strevler to come back and. Then whoever your third guy is just a practice squad guy. It's kind of a hard sell, but Strevler was put in a bad situation. I kind of feel bad for the guy.
Yeah, I mean, he had 2 of his 3 best receivers out. He had piss poor running back behind him. I mean, he was put into a bad situation.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but I've seen how Kyler Murray handled that bad situation. I've seen how he played with worse circumstances, and I think. No, I don't know if I feel sympathy.
Well, that's the first time he ever threw a pass. I mean, you have the guy on your roster all year, and you don't have him throw one pass all year, and then so I mean that's where I come from. The sympathy point is he's never been able to read a defense, in real time. So that was definitely hard place to be put in, and it sucks against that defense too. That defense came out. And beat the fucking Seahawks. What did they hold them to? In the teens. So, I mean, that's definitely a tough place.
To lack of preparation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he stepped on the field. I mean, he was probably still getting those second team reps, but I don't know. I'm just really fucking frustrated.
I feel you.
But yeah, so let's talk about coaching.
Do
you guys think?
Oh god.
Okay, so I'm not going to beat the dead horse. Game plan was terrible. Play calling was terrible. Fuck that. We're not talking about it. But let's talk about something that I don't know if it's been discussed among Cardinal circles. Should we bring in an actual offensive coordinator this offseason?
I don't hate that
I want to hear what you
idea,
guys. Yeah.
but you get people that argue, well, what the hell's the point of Cliff Kingsbury being the head coach
Exactly.
if you have
Exactly. What is he?
offensive coordinator?
A glorified quarterback coach at that point?
Exactly.
I think if we do bring one in, it'd have to be in like the same way like how Harold Goodwin worked with Bruce Arians. Like he was an offensive coordinator. He didn't actually do anything like call plays or anything, did he? Just there.
No, yeah, not during games. Yeah,
but I mean, if we could so much as even get somebody to show Cliff the ropes of being a coach or just something
better in play calling.
Yeah, because he's running like a college style offense, and he just looks lost out there. There were plenty of times this season where I had to scratch my head and wonder what the fuck he was doing. So I think if we can get somebody who knows the game, who's been in it for a while, who'd be willing to
just mentor Cliff.
Yeah, have him play a consulting role or something.
Did you guys hear Cliff on Dan Patrick earlier this year saying he'd retire before giving up play calling duties? Did you guys hear that? I just heard that clip on the radio this week.
I did not. Oh, that's a bad.
Yeah, one. He was like laughing. He's like, I couldn't just sit there and not call him plays. He's like,
I get if he's like laughing about it, I get that mentality because I mean, if you're the head coach, you want to be the guy.
Yeah,
but
right. Yeah. Do you think they force it on him? I think you give him that third year. I do like the idea of bringing in a vet, but I just don't see that going over well. Bringing in somebody who's going to call Cliff's offensive plays. Like that's a tough thing to pass down if you're a head coach, especially a young one. Like I think you give him that third year, this full off season. They didn't have a full offseason, and with DeAndre Hopkins involved, he was on the left side a lot of the year, and I wonder how much that had to do with no OTAs, lack of training camps, like how much we've talked about that, how much they simplified everything. So I would like to see Cliff in year 3 grow, just like Kyler should in year 3 after a full offseason.
Yeah, I completely agree on that. I think that third year is a good option, but I think if he regresses, we should seriously look into hiring another coach.
Yeah,
no doubt.
And unfortunately, given our schedule for the next year, that might be what happens because this is the because NFL schedules go in a cycle. It's all cyclical.
Yep.
It's a cycle. I just repeated myself. So here's I'm gonna read out our schedule for next year. This is the announced schedule. So you got our divisional teams, of course. We're playing the entire NFC North, which 3 of those teams are essentially borderline any given year, and then you got the Lions, and then and then after then we play the AFC South, and then we play Carolina at our house. We play who's our requisite? We play the Browns 2, I think. I'm trying to figure out. And then we play Dallas. In Dallas.
It's not too daunting.
Since there's, if I remember right, the 17th game, because it's a. And then if I remember right, the 17th game, because it's a 17-game season next year. Is the Cleveland Browns because they are 3rd in the AFC North.
Okay.
So I think that if we can have a good offseason, then I can see us having a 9-8, 10-7 year. That's so weird to say out loud. 9-8. That just feels dirty. I still get weirded out when people include like playoff wins and like a team's total wins on the year. It's like, no, that's not right. That's weird. Don't do that. But
I don't like it.
Yeah. I get.
Do we fire Cliff if we don't make the playoffs next year?
I think if we miss it in a horrifically ugly fashion, then yeah, he's out the door. If we go 5-12 or 6-11 with that schedule, then yeah, I'd say
Yeah,
kick him to the curb.
That's not something that we want.
Because this year there is justification. You can say, oh yeah, he didn't have enough time to develop people in the offseason. He didn't have, his roster wasn't built enough. But if we fall off next year, I don't know, man. I don't think we should keep him next year if he does that.
Agreed.
If he doesn't get to that point.
So fuck it. It's never going to happen, but let's talk about defensive coordinator. If Vance somehow gets fired in the next week or two, who would y'all like to bring in?
I think it would already happened if he was getting fired. I mean,
yeah.
The defense performed at Football Outsiders, the DVOA rankings, had the defense 10th, while they had the offense 19th, and the offense was 19th.
What the fuck?
I have that.
It felt so much worse.
Kyle Odegaard on Twitter put something out this week. I put it in my bookmarks. I'm opening it up right now. So the final DVO rankings this year, the offense 19th, defense 10th, special teams 19th, overall 13th.
Yeah, that does not feel right. I feel like our offense was so much better than our defense this year.
Yeah, it goes against how bad the defenses we faced were too, because we didn't face a ton of really good defenses. The Rams twice, yeah, but after that, I mean, we played, the NFC East, and then the AFC. Patriots weren't very good, so yeah, I mean, it kind of balances out, but yeah, I mean, pretty much basically middle of the pack is what we were in almost everything, or a little above, a little below.
Yeah.
Mediocre, if you will.
Exactly. And we finished 8-8, so yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I've witnessed enough of these seasons that I'm never surprised that we're 8-8, but it's just the way it happened just burns,
We didn't meet expectations. As soon as we acquired Hopkins, everyone thought that we were going to be this crazy offense playoff team.
Well, no, I'll disagree with you on that one. I mean, Vegas odds after that Hopkins trade had us still, at a over-under of 6 wins. They had us winning 6 games total. They basically said, yeah, they're going to win one more game than they won last year.
Even though they have the best wide receiver in the league. But I guess maybe I bought into our hype with thinking that we were going to be a lot more explosive team than we were. I feel like we never found our identity at all.
Yeah. And then when we did, it felt like that's when Kyler got hurt against Seattle, because that was coming off a franchise record 5 straight games of 30 points or more. And then that happened, and it was just like right when we were really finding everything, and then it was just like, okay, now we're starting from the bottom again. And then we had that really good game, the 2 games before against the Giants and Eagles. We played fairly well. Didn't live up to our standards against the bad teams, but we still won. And then just those last 2 games were very, very disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, basically, the air raid offense, it feels like either we've just entirely gone away from that and we've just, pushed that to the side, or we were just basically sold a lie. It's like those old fucking 60s comics books where they tell you oh yeah, here's X-ray goggles or sea monkeys or whatever. And it's like, oh yeah, cool, sea monkeys. If they're as big as real monkeys, that'll be cool. And it's like, oh no, they're just fucking tiny. What the fuck is this shit?
See,
and it's freeze-dried shrimps.
Yeah, and it feels like we've been sold something out of a 60s comic book ad. It's just.
You're right. No, I agree 100%. I feel like we were going to be sold this great air raid, high caliber offense, high, fast pace.
So what player on the offense do you think you got was the most disappointing this year?
Kenyon Drake.
Over Christian Kirk?
No, Christian Kirk.
I never had high expectations of.
I had no expectation. I know I probably should have. I mean, he's a second round wide receiver, and he's just kind of been okay over the last couple of years. But I never expected him to like make that jump this year. No, Kenyon
What do you think,
Drake. I
Tom?
mean, we were.
I'd have to say Larry Fitzgerald.
Oh,
you know what?
Bringing the heat. Oh,
you know what? I see where you're
them.
coming from. I see where you're coming from. $11 million a year for the whole year, just to be essentially. One touchdown. And it's just
the radio said this week. The radio said this season, Larry Fitzgerald had the lowest yards per catch ever by anyone with at least 50 catches in the season. It was like 7.
I believe it.
Yeah, same here. But how much does that go on the coaching and routes? I mean, why are you using Larry Fitzgerald? How maybe Andy Isabella kind of should be, or somebody with a little more explosiveness.
Yeah,
we saw Larry go up over some defenses, once or twice this year. But how much is that?
Having him do all those, short little underneath routes and having him do screens tells me that Cliff Kingsbury does not know what he wants to do with Larry Fitzgerald. It's
almost like he's a burden in his offense. Like, oh, I have to fucking give him his catch.
I get that feeling as well.
I get the vibe. That's the vibe I get.
So does he come back? Is this Larry's last year? Does it finish in a crowdless, stadium in LA?
Here's my take. If I'm going to give you the optimistic answer, I'm going to say yes. He probably does, because I know him. He's probably going to try to come back for one last hurrah before it's all over. But here's my take. If we have to pay him that bullshit $11 million fucking loyalty tax to get him on that field, I'm not taking that offer. Because at the end of the day, he is, he's at his lowest point in his career. He's not producing. He's essentially, as you said, a mascot. If I am Steve Kahn, I say, Larry, help a brother out, man. We need to do a rebuild this offseason. Can you help me here?
He's got to know he'd have to take a pay cut. I mean, $11 million. Just imagine where we could put that extra. Let's say it takes half, $5.5 million. I'd give him. Would you guys give him $5.5 million, or is that too low?
That's too much.
I would have said 7.
7. Yeah, I mean, you got to put some respect on his name, so you're not going to pay him that minimum.
I'm not going to pay him that minimum. I'll pay him $4 million tops. I love the guy. I love what he does to this organization, but at the end of the day, he's just not producing.
No.
Just imagine if we had an additional $5 million where we could put towards the roster. You can fill a couple needs towards that. What do you think, Tom? BritishBirdgang, go.
Well, I mean, you said about it being his last ride, but you've been saying that since 2016, haven't you? Every single year. This is going to be his last ride. So, I don't know if he takes a decent enough pay cut, then obviously bring him back just because of who he is. But $11 million, I'm not touching him.
Yeah,
I mean, $5 million, I think I'm not touching him either. It have to be something like $2-3 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
So let's talk.
Obviously, I don't think he's coming back for that, is he?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. At that point, he's not coming back.
The theory I've seen, circling online, I don't know if I'm a fan of this theory, is that the only person we fired this offseason was our wide receivers coach, is because we're trying to bring him in as a coach, as a wide receivers coach.
That's a little out there.
I gotta laugh at that. What Hall of Famer, retires and then immediately jumps to be a position coach? Like, that one makes no sense to me.
I mean, we've seen it. Well, yeah, Hall of Famers now. Shit, yeah, you're right.
And someone like him who loves to travel the world and shit. I see him getting a studio, cush gig, being an analyst before ever being a coach.
If he ever be a coach.
I don't see. Coach. Why would he want that stress? I can see him being like a youth coach, high school level, maybe.
Before being a coach.
Yeah, he wants to be kind of a higher up. He wants to be a franchise owner and shit.
He's a CEO of something.
John Elway. Ooh, I don't know why he'd want that fucking stress. But
Didn't they fire John
I
Elway?
don't.
John Elway said he was stepping down, and then he got promoted.
Oh.
He got promoted to the president of football operations.
Yeah, I would see Larry doing that over ever being a coach.
GM Larry Fitzgerald. Yes or no? What do y'all think?
Absolutely. You know who I would pick as a GM too is Adrian Wilson.
He might be next in line. I don't think Michael Bidwell likes to hire people he doesn't have a prior relationship with. Yeah, you know, Steve Keim was on the team for a while before he, you know, promoted him, and Adrian Wilson has been being groomed for that job. So that is definitely, you know, an option. Because I mean,
Speaking
I don't know how much
of GM
meddling. Yeah.
Speaking of GM hires, this isn't Cardinals related. I just want to go over this rumor because it's so out there that it just immediately hit my mind. And I saw this a couple of days ago. It's just the most batshit fucking thing I've ever seen. Did you guys see the rumor that the Detroit Lions are trying to trade for the GM of the Seahawks?
Oh, I did.
I did
A
not.
little weird.
Actually. Yeah. Oh, actually, I
mean,
did. I did. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
If you're desperate enough that you've weighed out all your options and you just can't find anybody, I get that, and that's a rumor that's so out there that I'm guessing that there is at least some truth to that. That's probably leaked out by a league officer or some shit.
Only Detroit. I mean, take them out of the NFC West. I'm all good with that. Fucking give them a second round pick. Go ahead, get them out of here. You know, they've been way too consistent. So any fluctuation in their decision makers, I'm all for. So,
although I feel like they did a lot for Jamal Adams, like the Jets kind of finessed him, but I get him out of the NFC West.
But yeah. So, just wanted to discuss that really quick because I thought that was just absolutely, batshit. So, Mac, you said you have the re-signings up on there.
Okay, yeah. So, all right. So, all four of us, let's grade these 5 free agents that we brought in the 2020. So let's start first with Devondre Campbell. How would you 3 grade him? A, B, C, D, or F?
Give him a B+.
I'll give him a B-. I saw him producing out there, and I heard his name called, enough that I can see him being a producer if he comes back for another year. But I mean, if he asks us to back up the Brinks, then no, obviously.
Yeah.
What do you think, Bird Gang?
I think I'll give him a B as well. He had a good season, considering he was only here on a 1-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
He produced enough.
He held up his end of the bargain. Yeah, he came in here. He did his job. He's going to earn us another contract somewhere. And here's the other guy that we brought in around the same time, who kind of had a different type of year. Devon Kennard. How would you guys rate him? We brought him in on a 2-year deal. What do you guys think?
I'm a D.
Yeah.
That might be a little high, like a little bias. His
snaps after COVID, his snaps went absolutely in the tank. So there's definitely Isaiah Simmons got a lot of those snaps, but I mean, if I'd give him a D as well. He just didn't produce as much.
C-. I mean, I didn't see enough from him, and I know COVID, fucks up your lungs and gives you a lot of pain. So I understand why he would be struggling after that. But yeah, I mean, if we can get somebody, better than him on the market, then I'd say we pick them up instead, because I'm not attached to Devon Kennard.
Is that the lowest it'll go?
Yeah. We could do what would that be? Not passing or no? What's lower than that? Incomplete.
Absolutely. U for ungradable.
Cut candidate, right? You agree with that, Tom?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we've seen enough from him this year. And he'd be earning quite a bit of money next year, wouldn't he?
$7 million or something. Yeah, you could save that and spread it around a little bit.
Yeah, so I think maybe cut him, bring back Gardek, bring back someone else. I'm sure you can find as many people as you can.
Who are we talking about now?
Devon Kennard, but we're saying, is he a cut candidate?
Yeah. I don't.
You can save him and pay Gardek. Exactly. Gardek's more. You got to bring him back over Devon, no doubt about it.
Yeah, Gardek. I mean, he's a solid enough player. I mean, he's not a enough of a known quantity that I can see anybody trying to outspend us to get him. I think that if we can bring back Gardek, that's good for the locker room. That's good for the team as a whole. So if we can bring him back, that's amazing.
So what about
a restricted free agent though?
No, UFA, I believe, is what I had up here.
So if he was a restricted free agent, we just put a tender to him, don't we? And then someone would have to give us compensation if they wanted to sign him.
Yep. So you're correct. Okay. So I like that. Yeah. So the restricted free agents, he's one of a handful. Ezekiel Turner, Trent Sherfield, Kylie Fitz. But we'll get to that. So what do you guys think about Drake?
I mean, he got in enough. He got in enough trouble that I wouldn't say that he's a top candidate, but I'd still give him a B- because he was still doing all right.
Give him a C.
Yeah, I think I'll give him a C as well. Because he had some good games, he had some really bad games as well, though. So kind of balances out.
I'd say if
I think he earned his $1 million this year. I'll give him a C though.
So can I introduce some names into the fold too? Or?
Sure.
Yeah. Right, so go ahead.
Corey Peters. Let's talk about him. Do you bring him back and give him a grade? I guess. Hello.
He was doing really well.
Early in the year, yeah. I think he's that run stuffer, that veteran run stuffer that every team needs that defensive tackle. And we have some young guys there, but not really proven. So I think if the price is right, he got paid $4 million this year. If he wants to come back, for 3, 2.5, then I'm for it. I think.
I'm with it, yeah. If we can get him for a good price.
Also getting on in years, so it's more like if he wants to come back as well. Like if he's going to retire or not. I think he might have a couple of years left in him though.
So let's.
Yeah, I mean, he's 33 right now, so yeah, that's kind of a older guy for sure.
Football left, but.
All right, so Kelvin Beachum.
Hey, how can you not give the guy an A? Started all 16 games at right tackle. I mean, I thought he was great for us.
Did a solid job. I mean, he's one of the few linemen I've seen over the past couple of years where I could, justifiably say this is a guy who should be on our team.
Yeah,
because
I'm
so used to our O-line. I'm so used to our O-line being shambles. So it's just he looks really solid out there, and I'm not used to seeing that. I'd be happy to see him have another year on this Cardinals team.
Absolutely.
I'd give him an A. What do you think?
I'll say he is like a B+ from his year this year. But in the future, I think I'd rather see Josh Jones out there, see what we've got at right tackle with him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The fact that we didn't see much of Josh Jones this year was a little sad, but I mean, if we can get that, that same level of production from Beachum out on the field, I'd say we pay him. That's a guy you pay because a good lineman, that's not cheap these days.
Yeah, I think he could be cheap enough still to where you could bring him back, and that's great depth right there. I mean, you give Josh Jones a chance to win the job outright. And then Josh Jones, I think, played a little bit of guard too. He played guard at the Senior Bowl. So, but yeah, I do want to see what Josh Jones has because he's, he fell to us in the 3rd round this year, and a lot of people had a 1st-round grade on him. So definitely curious to see what he's going to look like. He's definitely younger, more athletic, And so we left like up front.
Yeah. So let's get into the big names here. I've got 5 big names here. We'll go quickly on these because I think each and every one of you has your own opinion on whether we should bring these guys back and what your grade would be. So we'll start off with the small ones first. Marcus Golden, do you bring him back? What's your grade?
I give him a B, and if we can work at a deal, I'd bring him back.
I'll go for the same as that. B, bring him back if he's cheap enough. Well, not cheap enough, but if we can work something out.
Yeah, definitely. I'm in the same boat with both of y'all.
I think I agree with y'all on that. I think he's, his level of production this year was good for what we paid. Was a lot better than what we actually paid for him. I feel like we kind of fleeced the Giants there, but yeah, I mean, if we can bring him back,
he seems like a good leader too. When he showed up, he was kind of like that heartbeat in the front seven a little bit. Yeah.
And he's genuinely
definitely in favor.
And he was genuinely happy to be here, which you really can't say much about other players. Here's the big one. This is going to be divisive. Hassan Reddick. What do y'all think?
I think you got to franchise tag him if you can't, or a transition tag or something if you can't. If you can't come up with a long-term deal, I don't think you can just let him walk this year. He finished top 3 in sacks or something. So
yeah, if we can franchise that guy,
to see him leave. Yeah.
If we can franchise him and have somebody
he's the
else,
one franchise candidate I see.
Yeah, absolutely.
He is the big one that I see because I think that he is the very definition of a guy who does really good on a contract year. Because I mean, we never saw that level of production, at any other point. So I think it is just a guy shining in his contract year. I don't think that's
Well, he was finally put into
the rule in the future. I think that's going to be the exception. Oh yeah,
gotta bring him out
at the same time. I can't see us.
Because the other franchise. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
And the question with Reddick that is, can we actually afford the $13 to $15 million to bring him back on the tag?
See, if Alford's
I'm
probably
mostly thinking franchise
cut candidate. Yeah, like Alford's a cut candidate. Devon Kennard, that's a lot of money right there. Alford's $9 million, Kennard, $7 million. So I think we could be able to afford it. I mean, would you rather? Who's more of a franchise tag candidate if we could afford it, Reddick or Patrick Peterson? Because I don't know. I'd be more comfortable paying.
I don't know if
Patrick Peterson.
I don't know if Patrick Peterson has that kind of demand right now. I mean, he's a big enough name that I could see some, misguided, I'm going to use the term here. I know it's not the right word here. Lottery team. I know that's draft in the NBA, but whatever. I could see one of them doing it. I could see him going to the fucking Lions or some shit or some team.
Yeah, that was the first team I thought of when you had elaborated.
Somebody that'll overpay a big vet, like big name vet.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know if the risk of not having somebody sign him would be worth it. I think that Reddick is the better choice for a franchise tag.
Yeah, and then I think another thing that we're gonna do is that restructuring Chandler Jones's contract. That'll open up some more money too, because he's entering his final year of the deal. I'd like to give him, extend him for another year, maybe 2, and then move the money up front, guarantee it, so it opens up.
If he produces.
Yeah, but are you gonna wait for the season and then let him hit free agency before seeing that, or are you gonna trust that it's Chandler Jones and he'll be fine? It's not like it was an Achilles or ACL; it was his hand. So, or what was his shoulder?
Bicep.
It was. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So I mean, I like to extend him at least one more year, open it up more so than signing Patrick Peterson to a 3-year deal. If Patrick Peterson would sign like a cornerback 2 type contract for it, but I don't really see him doing that, to be honest.
Yeah, that's not his not his MO. So we've basically just talked about Patrick Peterson there. I'm going to count that as its own topic for that one. But so here's the big two. Grade these two. Would you keep them? I'm going to go with the small potatoes first here. Kenyon Drake. Grade, keep. What do you say?
I've been hard on him. So
I give him a C, and I'd let him walk.
Yeah, it's hard to give him anything worse than a C because he did have 10 touchdowns. But I mean, his final stats.
On paper, his stats were good.
Yeah, his total numbers look good to the naked eye, but he finished 3.99 yards per carry, so I can't give him a B. So I'll go C. A hard C for sure. And I would like to see something more explosive. We saw Jonathan Ward come in for that one play and look pretty damn explosive, and it made me wonder have we not seen him or Eno? We have no idea what a young, hungry back in this offense really looks like. Chase has gotten that, but he got hurt. So I definitely would like to see us get a little bit younger and a little bit more explosive.
Yeah, I'd say this is an outstanding offseason for running back. So I'd say if we can get somebody who is on the market, if we can get a Philip Lindsay type who is, Philip Lindsay's 23 years old. He's still got that.
Damn, he's only 23.
Yeah, he's an undrafted. He's an undrafted free agent. So they brought him in on a 2-year deal. So if we can bring in somebody like Philip Lindsay, I'd say go for it because he's tearing it up.
Absolutely.
And I can't see the Broncos keeping him. I know he's a fan favorite, but the contract.
They have Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, they have Melvin Gordon, and despite the fact that he's not producing, they paid him enough that they can't justifiably pay what Lindsay deserves.
That was very stupid, by the way. When they acquired Melvin Gordon, I thought they were stupid for that.
And they were. It was a very stupid move.
So hopefully we get Philip Lindsay out of it.
But here's the big one.
He better be cheaper. That's what I'm saying.
Lawrence Fitzgerald. What's your grade? Do we keep him?
Oh man.
On who?
We keep him on a very
We kind of went over that already.
Yeah, but
we keep him if we can afford him.
It's a sore subject.
Yeah.
I
don't think
of course
his grade overall is a C. I give him a C because I feel like his presence and leadership was more needed than his plays, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree with that. I'll give him a C. It wasn't like he was dropping balls out there,
Yeah, and he was good for a key first down when he needed it.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll go that way.
But I'm going to give you one last hot take before we close out, and then we'll discuss the pick'em.
Oh, I got one more guy to grade too.
Oh, what's yours? What do you
Jordan Phillips. He's kind of under the radar cut candidate. I don't think he gets cut, but that's another one.
I'm entirely indifferent on him.
I think he had one sack on the year. He was hurt for most of the year. Yeah, I think he's coming back for sure. But that is another way.
He produced when he wasn't hurt.
Yeah, I've still got to give the season probably a D though, just because he wasn't out there, that much.
Yeah.
And I expected a lot bigger things because he tore it up with Buffalo last year. So hopefully we can get some of these guys because that's. You have Kennard who wasn't playing a lot, Jordan Phillips, Chandler Jones. That's a lot of starting guys, type caliber NFL guys that just weren't getting a lot of run due to one reason or another, injuries, whatnot. But what do you think? What do you think, Tom? What would your grade be to Jordan Phillips?
Like you said, he spent most of the season injured, so it's hard to grade him. But
yeah,
I think I'll say like a D+, and hopefully he does better next year.
Yeah,
sounds about right.
I am entirely neutral on him. Here's my hot take for the Cardinals as a whole. I think that what we saw this year, unless we just have some outrageously great offseason, which knowing Steve Kahn, that's not going to happen. I think that this is our peak. I think that the closest thing I can give to a comparison in terms of what this team will be under Cliff Kingsbury is those mid 2010s Tennessee Titans teams with Marcus Mariota. I think we're gonna have a lot of those seasons where we go 9-7 or go 8-8, and we look serviceable.
Is that because more Cliff or Kyler?
I think that's more Cliff. I think that Cliff's boneheaded play calling is the issue here. I sounded like Kermit the Frog there for a sec.
Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, Kyler Murray, we've seen what he can do if he has, he has the right reads and he has the right plays. Because Kyler Murray has the potential to be a beast. I feel like we are shackling him to a very mediocre head coach. Because, we saw what happened. I'm going back to those Tennessee teams. We saw what happened once they finally figured out that, Mike Munchak and all those, bottom of the barrel offensive coordinators just weren't doing for him. Vrabel is just doing outstanding work there right now. He's built, solid team. He's gotten,
I admire his leadership.
And I think he's built well throughout the draft. I think that, Ryan Tannehill, I used to think he was like a really mediocre quarterback, but I see now most of that was Adam Gase, because Adam Gase just fucking ruins everything he touches. So that's what I'm going to say. Cardinals should bring in Sam Darnold over the offseason just to see what. Not kidding, Chris.
If we're 8-8 next year, you could convince me more. But 8-8 second year after being the worst in the NFL. I know the optics weren't beautiful at the end of the year, but I'm not really to go that deep and go all there.
Oh, yeah, but I'm going full dark.
Year 3 is huge. Yeah, this year 3.
I'm going full dark side here. I'm basically just coping, I guess, but that's my opinion for what we'll see if we can't establish a good offseason. But let's discuss pick'ems real quick. Who won the pick'ems this week, Matt?
You won, boy.
Read out the records.
Oh God.
Me and you tied at, I think, 11-5, 11-6. I don't have it in front of me, but you won the tiebreaker because you're the trader and picked the Rams to win last week. Just in case y'all know, Trader won last week. I know Bo Bobbles is happy calling him out. And I think, was that the first time you won this year? I think so, right?
Yes, sir. Being a trader finally pays off, baby.
Y'all won at least once this year now, because we started about halfway through when Jackie jumped on. Yeah. If I was a little more prepared, I would have got our total records. I think I won twice. I think Jackie won twice, or Bo Bobbles won twice. So I'm not exactly sure who exactly won, but I'm glad we started keeping track about halfway through, because for a while there, it was like, okay, let's do pick'ems, and then the next week we didn't even keep count who won or not. So Jackie motivated us. Thank you, Jackie.
You're welcome.
All right, so do y'all have any more topics?
I did break down my end of the season awards. I did 7 categories.
Do it. Let's do it. Finish it on a high note.
Let's just do it off dome.
All right, so dumbest coach. Who do you guys got?
Worst coach?
Dumbest coach.
Dumbest coach.
Dumbest coach.
Okay.
Funnest?
I'm gonna let y'all go first.
Dumb.
Dumbest coach. I am gonna go.
I'm kidding. I'm gonna go with Adam Gase, dumbest coach.
I follow suit. I agree.
With Mike McCarthy a close second, and then if Bill O'Brien had stayed a whole year, it would, he would have ran home with it.
Bird Gang, you got to take?
I'm the dumbest coach in the NFL.
Yes.
I'll go with Adam Gase, yeah, because obviously he screwed that team over by winning those last 2 games, didn't he?
Right.
Idiot.
I still don't know how they beat the Rams, but whatever.
I was totally convinced that team that he would keep his job on the virtue of those 2 wins.
I thought so too. You got well.
But I mean,
when the Jets own it, Jonas would have been the dumbest owner then, wouldn't he?
Right.
I've got actually a bit of a hot take here. I think that Zach Taylor of the Bengals is actually, because I mean he's clearly not fit for the role. His own locker room doesn't like him. I mean, at least Adam Gase. I mean, I don't think I ever heard any reports about the locker rooms questioning him. I mean,
what did the locker room say about Zach Taylor? I must miss that.
I mean, I think I remember them saying that they're not a fan of him. He's one of those places where it's people will say oh, the NFL is a meritocracy, and it's like, how the fuck does Eric Bieniemy not have a job as a coach in this league while fucking Zach Taylor, the QB coach,
they need to get offensive line there fucking bad, or they're gonna
and fucking Mike Brown is the cheapest motherfucker that there will never be an O-line there for Darnold to prosper. Yeah, we're here.
Yep.
And Mike Brown is the cheapest fucking owner in the league, and he only gets overshadowed because there's no fucking history in the Bengals organization. Fuck the Bengals.
He does remind me of Bill Bidwell a lot. That was the 90s, or he was cheap, charging players to use the vending machines inside the practice facilities and whatnot. So I could definitely see that being Mike Brown. But so what do you got next, Jackie? What's your next award?
You guys hear me now?
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. Okay, so we got player with the most swag.
Swag?
Most swag.
Most swagger.
Swag.
We'll go Buda Baker.
Shit, I don't know.
I gave it to DeAndre Hopkins.
For I? Yeah, I made better play. I can see that.
Better catch by eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go with Hopkins. I don't know who else I'd pick there.
Are we talking about the whole league or just the Cardinals again?
League.
Whole league.
I don't know. Juju Smith-Schuster for dancing on everyone's logo.
Okay.
Paid for it.
Bottles has Isaiah Simmons.
Okay.
All right. Now we got go ahead.
I hope Juju, the same thing happens to him that happened to T.O. when he was dancing on the logos of teams.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
Man.
Team that turned out to be the biggest frauds.
Broncos. They were everybody's dark horse candidate. Oh, look what Drew Lock will do. He's he did really well against teams that were bottom of the barrel last year.
I'm gonna go us because I thought it was the Bears at first, and they beat us out for the playoffs. So we ended up being a fraud than the Bears because I was like, oh, Bears are frauds, and then
I think in terms of what I thought at the beginning of the season, I would not have us there, but in terms of what happened during it, I can absolutely
6-3.
See, yeah,
to start.
Yeah, I can absolutely see why you would say that if you're going entirely off of what happened during the year. But in terms of what I saw,
that's what I'm going off of.
Yeah.
Initially, I thought Bears, but I would say Raiders.
Yep, that's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they ended up exactly where I expected them to be. And they're not going to fire Gruden because then they'd have to pay him like $70 million.
That was stupid.
Patriots would be up there.
Josh Jacobs. DUI.
Yeah. Oh, God. That guy's lucky to be alive.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit.
But he got Tom.
You got anything?
There is too many to choose from all the ones you've mentioned because I was thinking Raiders as well, but Patriots make a good case because they've just been awful this year.
You're right.
Because everyone got scared when they got Cam too.
Yeah.
Not me. I've seen what Cam can do, and I know what he does.
Speaking of Cam, I got most disappointing player in the league.
Most disappointing player in the league.
I'm gonna go with Cam.
Do you all have an answer?
I'm trying to think because injury-wise, you don't want to put somebody who got hurt. So I mean, I could. I'll go Cam as well. I'll do the cop out. Copy you.
You know what? I mean, Cam, I expected him to be kind of middling because I mean, even in these later years of Carolina, he was not.
Andy Isabella's one, yep.
He was not a. He was not a baller in his later years. I'm gonna go a little wild card here. I think that in terms of not, living up to what they could have done to improve, I'm gonna say Lamar Jackson.
You're right. You're right, though.
Because everybody expected him to have this crazy bounce back year where he just, he'd be the guy.
He finished strong.
Fire up the league again, and
yeah. And everybody I feel like everybody expected it to be kind of like a, back in the 2000s where it's like, oh, every AFC championship feels like it's, Brady versus Manning. And I feel like people kind of had him in that role, opposite Mahomes. But, I know some of that. His wide receiver core is just absolutely fucking busted. There's nobody there that I would consider keeping if I had other choices.
No.
But
the reason he's not a disappointment to me is because I've never been hot on him, so he's at where I had expected.
He had less than 100 more yards than Joe Burrow. Lamar Jackson, that's fucking crazy passing. Barely, not even 100.
Joe Burrow played half a season.
I know, that's fucking nuts. Holy shit! Drew Lock had more yards. Daniel Jones more passing. Yeah.
Yo, Tom, what do you have?
For the most disappointing player?
Yes.
For Cardinals, I think I'd have to say Christian Kirk.
Yes, absolutely.
Never steps up when you want him to, and sometimes he'll have a good game, and then he'll disappear for the next 5 or 6.
Had a couple big drops too, for sure.
Jackie, what's your next category?
So I've got most adorable player.
Mahomes.
Adorable. I'm gonna go Rodrigo Blankenship.
Oh yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
How drunk were you when you did this, Jackie?
I think that Rodrigo
bottles of wine
with sound body and sound mind. I was not drunk.
I feel like
nicest ass in the league fits.
Yes,
I feel like Rod's probably the most adorkable because he's seeing his interviews and it's like, oh yeah, when I heard I was getting signed by the Colts, I was building Lego sets in my basement, and this is like, oh my god, that's awesome. It's like
it's so awesome. I hope he gets a rookie of the year.
I'll go kicker though, Jackie, and go my Young Ho Koo.
Okay. My Young
Ho.
Tom.
I'll go with Kyler Murray because you can just stand there and pat him on the head.
And we're the same height.
I
like Bo Bobble's answer. He went Dennis Gardeck.
I feel like like those kid shows where it's like he's there's this little tiny kid and you you have him against you got his head against your arm. He's trying to run into it. That's what I basically think of when I think of Kyler Murray.
Yeah,
that's my quarterback. I'm out of here. Fuck you guys.
All right, now we got most likely to be a playoff team next season.
Better be the Cardinals, man. Year 3. I'm expecting a lot. I'm expecting a Browns type jump this year under year 3 of Baker. But they have one of the best running attacks in the league, so we'll have to do it a little differently, especially if
I feel like the obvious answer here is Dolphins because they got beat by circumstance.
That's what I said. Yeah.
But if we're going if I'm gonna avoid the hack answer here and go with a rebuilding team, let's see. I'd say either the Vikings or fuck it. Let's go a little crazy here. Let's go Falcons. I feel like Vikings or Falcons.
Especially now that they're trying to deal out Matt Ryan and Julio Jones.
Yeah.
All right.
Those are a couple of good ones.
Tom, what do you think?
For the playoff team, does it have to be someone really obvious, like the Kansas City Chiefs?
Like a new playoff team.
Let's say the team didn't make it this year, but you think we'll make it next year.
I'll just go for the Cardinals just to be a massive homer.
I think that the teams that play football will be most likely to make the playoffs next year.
And I can tell you who's most least likely to make the playoffs.
Because you guys saw that stat that this is like what the 30th year in a row where at least 4 new playoff teams made it, and there were 7. So even with the additional one additional seed in each conference, there were 3 new ones, more than 4. So I mean, that didn't really play too much of a part in that stat.
Craziness.
But yeah, right. So everyone, you always got an equal chance, coming up. But the worst chance to, or what was it, Jackie? This one?
Most likely to be a playoff team next year.
Not to be a playoff team? Did we move on?
To be a playoff team. So a team that missed it this year that.
I picked Cardinals.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna change my answer. I'm gonna go with one that's a little crazy here. I'm gonna say that the Houston Texans, without Bill O'Brien, if they can get a full rebuild this offseason, I can see them having
with no first or second round pick,
outstanding chance to make the playoffs next year.
And because I think
there's Deshaun Watson.
I mean, if they can. I mean, crazier shit's happened before, man. I mean, middle of the draft these days. I mean, if you can scout well enough and you can figure out, the Legion of Boom. I mean, most of those were mid-round picks. So
yeah,
who knows?
Let's not bury the lead here. Since there was talk of Deshaun Watson possibly being traded, radio talked about it. Me and my brother had a fucking discussion about it. Would you guys trade? I know this is a stupid question, but would you trade Kyler and this year's first for Deshaun Watson?
No,
absolutely fucking not. And fuck every Cardinals fan that says yes. Fight me in the comments.
What do you think? BritishBirdgang and you fighting.
I'll join in the fight, but I wouldn't do the trade myself.
Deshaun Watson's kind of in that like quarterback middle class that players like Matt Stafford and Matt Ryan occupy.
No, he's a fucking stud.
He has the tendency to go off, but I mean, again, the people that I'm declaring to be in the football middle class, I mean, they constantly have these 4,000, 5,000 yard seasons. I mean, they're constantly going off, but at the end of the day, I mean, they're not their wins, their passing, their touchdowns, all that doesn't mean anything because they're just not winning.
Well, they were winning before they traded their wide receiver 1 and fucking Bill O'Brien fucking traded their first, second round picks coming up. They don't have much of a chance. I feel bad for the guy, but I mean, he's getting paid a lot there, so it's gonna be tough for them to compete. But we'll see.
I feel like Matt Patricia is probably never gonna. I know this isn't related to the Texans, but fuck it. There's an interesting stat I saw a while back, and it blew my fucking mind. Every single head coach who, left or got fired by the Detroit Lions never had another coaching job in the league again, like head coaching. Not a single one.
Rightfully so.
If you don't count like interims and all that shit. But I saw that and it fucking blew my mind because it's just like, how the fuck is that even possible?
No clue. What do you got next, Jackie?
All right, final category. Most annoying player in the NFL.
Juju. I mean,
I'm gonna go Aaron Donald because he fucking kills us. The guy annoys the hell out of me when we play him. But
Aaron Donald is skilled enough, and he plays.
Oh, he's great.
He's an outstanding player.
I would go Aaron Rodgers because he annoys the shit out of me too. I feel like Aaron Rodgers fan.
Yeah, Aaron Donald. I think he's annoying, but not in the way that you're trying to do. He's annoying because he's not on my team.
Oh, you're right about Juju though.
Juju is not playing well enough, and he's not doing enough for the Steelers to have anywhere near that much, confidence and swagger. It's annoying.
I'm not good at thinking on the fly. You guys are tricking me with all these questions. Because Juju sounds right to me, so I don't know. Jamal Adams is kind of a baby on the sidelines.
Anybody see DK Metcalf throw a fucking fit yesterday on the sidelines?
Nope.
Oh, that guy
very annoyed the shit out of me too.
That guy's annoying as shit. Yeah. Basically anyone in the NFC West.
Yeah.
Tom, you got anything?
George Kittle gets on my nerves too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, DK was going to be my pick.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just don't like the guy. Only because everyone always says, like, old Andy Isabella thing, gets tedious, boring.
Yeah, right.
We fucking get it. The Cardinals should have drafted DK over Isabella.
And every team in the NFL passed on him at least once.
Yeah, it wasn't just us.
It's like, it's easy to say he was like the next guy taken or whatever, but I wasn't a fan of DK. I thought AJ Brown was a much better receiver in college, so I didn't think it was going to really pan out, but take that off.
You're good.
Thank you to all the fans, or I don't even know if you're fans, but all the listeners.
Yes,
we appreciate
it. In.
Yeah.
Shout out Juan.
Shout out, yep. Shout out to Juan. I see you, man. You're kick ass. Yeah. Shout out to the fans who have stuck by us from the beginning. Shout out to you two, to Mac and Jackie, for staying here this year and being phenomenal co-hosts. I love you guys. Shout out to Bird Gang for coming on the episode.
Shout out Tom, Bird Gang, British Bird Gang. Woo, 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 woo.
Thank you, Tom. I love you guys. Thank you for allowing me to be on the show.
Yeah, thank you, Jackie. Yeah.
We'll
come up with a free agent episode. We'll have to shout out to Bobby too.
Shout out to Bobby, and shout out to my former co-host at Zona Keith on Twitter. He, we started out small, and we're here now, and I'm loving it, man. I'm hoping we
Chase Edmonds doing our opener. Yeah.
Shout out Chase.
Shout out Chase.
Behind the scenes, fun fact here: we were actually hoping to buy a cameo from Jake Plummer if we made the playoffs, but that didn't happen.
Offer him some weed.
Yeah. Maybe maybe we'll do like a fun draft episode.
I'd be open to that.
Yeah.
Of course, I feel like my dumbest predictions are always made in that episode. In the Rosen year,
the hottest of hot takes.
Yeah, in the Rosen year, if I remember right, me and Zona Keith, I at least had us going like 9-7 or 10-6 in the Rosen year.
Shout out Josh Rosen, he's our biggest fan too.
My brother came home one night, and he's like, before the season started, he's like, I just had a fucking premonition. This is after we drafted Rosen and the Wilkes year, and he's like, I just had a premonition that the Cardinals are winning the Super Bowl, and then we get the number one pick. Oh my god! I swear to God, I give him shit for it.
Draft Super Bowl.
Oh, and some breaking news here. This might not mean anything, but I'll say it regardless. Deshaun Watson, his top candidate to the place he wants to be traded to is the Dolphins.
I saw that they would have to trade Tua and probably at least two more number ones.
Whatever, I'm here for it.
Oh shit! If Miami trades their like middle round first, I could see them doing that because they're not going to give Houston back their own pick.
Right? Oh shit! Never know. All right.
But, all right, y'all. We'll enjoy playoff football. It's
we'll close this out here. This has been the season finale of the Redbird Redzone on a live episode. My name is Will. You can follow me on Twitter at LiveOnThatSwing.
My name is Mac. You can find me on Twitter at AZSportsFien. That's FIEN.
And I'm Jackie. You can find me on Twitter at JSanDiego. That is 2 O's.
And I've been Tom, and you can find me on Twitter at BritishBirdgang.
Goated.
Birdgang.
You're the best one here yet. You not hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Just do your little closer.
I've been Tom, and I'm at BritishBirdgang on the Twitter. So, if you're not following us already, go follow us there. We look forward to the draft.
This has been the Redbird Redzone, and we will see you guys in May. Peace out.
Bye.